Hi there. The purpose of this video is to make it a little more understandable as to how we assign our MAC addresses to our physical adapters and then pick that up within the servers so that our net plan configuration matches up with whatever the physical adapters are, and nothing can break in that process. So if for any reason it reboots, it doesn't reassign some strange descriptor to the network adapter, for instance ENSP012, you name it. If they add another adapter, is it going to go to the wrong adapter and screw up our network? So this is how it ties in, and I've got a virtual machine which works exactly the same way that ties it all together. So if you were to open up Windows 10 or 11 and go to network settings, you would see your list of adapters. In fact, I went to advanced network settings, and Windows 11 is a little bit different, which is what we're looking at here, and a list of adapters. Those adapters coincide with what you would see if you went the old school method, which I prefer until I get used to the other one completely, I guess, which shows you that same information a little bit differently. Now, for me, the first thing I want to do is identify which cable going into an adapter is getting which IP address. There can't be any doubts about that. So I literally unplug, check my IP config, see whether I've lost it or got it and which IP, and then I rename the device. So you can just right-click, rename, and that tells me that actually I can't right-click and rename here. I thought I could. They've taken that away from me. Oh, there we go. I just double-click lightly, and you can still rename it. I don't know why the other one didn't work. And then, in this case, I put it on the subnet, and I identify it by the actual physical information, which is not changeable, down at the bottom here. So that lets me know in VirtualBox or elsewhere what interface and what IP I should be expecting to get at that interface. And this one, while I'm here, I may as well change that because that is supposed to be .10. I don't know if that change there will carry over. And it does carry over, yeah. So that's kind of the way you want it to look. So I know exactly what gateway, in this case, I should be expecting to see at each of these three adapters. And that takes a lot of confusion out of things moving forward. Now, this is only because I'm using a virtual machine. With the actual server, you don't have a secondary interface in between you and the server. This is just so I can demonstrate what the heck is going on. So I'm going to come up into VirtualBox here, and I have created a virtual machine, and I've created two adapters. Now these are just like, envision these as the two adapters that you would have on a typical server environment that we sell. We're bridging the adapter to 82576 here, and we're bridging adapter 2 to the secondary. So I know that's going to give me a .9 and a .10 gateway on the actual virtual machine system. I want you to take note of the MAC address. We have manually assigned a MAC address, B47E and 3854. In the case of the server, that MAC address will be predetermined. It's part of the machine, part of those network adapters. But either way, they're important, and I'm going to show you why in a second. So here is our actual server. We booted it up. In this case, it's a virtual server, but it works exactly the same way. We're going to take a look at some rules that we've created, and it's set for UDEV rules D 99 server matter. And here we say, if this is the MAC address, and it's our B47E, which was one of those two adapters, we want you to give this NIC the name SMNet0. We could have called it anything we wanted, but that's server matter net0. And then if the MAC address is this, then we want you to give it the name SMNet1. So that gives us a way of knowing on the machine which NIC is which. So this, now we don't care what Ubuntu or Linux wants to name these NICs. We're going to be able to control it and it's always going to be SMNet0 and SMNet1 as long as it's coming over an adapter with that MAC address. So that allows us to do this. If I type in IP add, and I'll grep that for SMNet so you can see it more clearly. Actually insert the grep. We can see our two NICs. There's SMNet1, and it doesn't display the MAC address here, but you can see that it has actually named it SMNet0 and SMNet1. And here, if I type it without the grep, we can actually see, once again, the B47T, the MAC address that have been assigned to that. And that's how it looks. Now, let's take that a step further. We're using NetPlan, and let's look at the NetPlan configuration. This allows us to set up SMNet0 and SMNet1 within our server environment and know that they're never going to be changed, that the operating system isn't going to one day rename those interfaces to something else and networking stops. We've experienced that, and this safeguards against it. And that is it in a nutshell. So now if we go to a command line, we can ping 9.1, and that is happening over the correct interface. I hope that helps you moving forward. It will help me moving forward just to remember how these dots are connected. Again, in the virtual machine, you've got a few extra layers to look at so that you can better understand what's going on. On the server itself, you start right at the point of the adapters themselves. They already have a MAC address built in. You can view them from the command line, and then you set up the rule, you set up NetPlan to coincide with that rule, and Bob's your uncle. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.